I'm yelling out money, anything, ayy. Ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the back, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of these information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I do say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, you guys, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take this information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Thursday, everybody. We are going to jump right in. We're going to be, I think we're going to need to be switching it up here this morning to a little tactical show, kind of do some updates on what's going on in the industry. And Corey Buchan, good morning. And we are going to really jump right in and talk about, obviously it's holiday week here. These next 2 weeks are the holidays. And, I know a lot of people are going to be looking to get out early tomorrow. So, at least something that we're doing inside of my organization, and we've been doing this all week. And if you haven't done this yet, I would highly recommend a lot of you start doing this today, is calling each and every one of your shippers and receivers out there to ensure what their holiday hours are, what's going on out there. And then if there's any of these loads that are moving through the holiday weekend, you guys find out where they're parking it. Is it a secure yard? Find out that story about what's going on. I mean, as you, a lot of you can see who's inside of the industry, cargo theft is continuing to rise out there. And so just take those extra precautions as you're approaching a holiday weekend, because this is the time that a lot of that stuff happens. People, I don't want to say everybody gets careless, but people can start acting a little bit careless around the holidays because they just want to go home and spend time with their families and such. And so again, just pay attention to a lot of that, you guys. It's one of those situations that I truly feel like it's just one of those small separators. It's the difference between somebody who does this as a job and somebody who does this as a career. You want to get out there and provide as much value as you can for your customers. But with that being said, well, I do have a couple of articles here. I'm completely pulling some stuff out here for today. And, some of this stuff is, I think what's important here. So the other day we were talking about everything that was going on with the driver down in Florida. And, some stuff has really came out after the fact. And, again, it made me realize why I thoroughly enjoy not having to be the first to comment on certain things out there, because the ELP, English language proficiency, is turning into an even bigger deal than I think a lot of people originally thought. And again, my stance on when we talked about this on Tuesday is going to be the exact same today. Again, the DOT and the FMCSA, they need that accountability to take and make sure that this stuff is done. But I think furthermore, talking about that accident, because one of the big talking points that came out, and again, this is why why I feel like this is going to continue to remain a political talking point out there. And my fear is nothing's going to happen. And if there's anything our government is good at is talking and not actually doing anything. But, if any of you have not seen the body cam footage of that accident out there, not the accident, excuse me, the body cam footage of when the driver was pulled over in the state of New Mexico on July 3rd. I look at it as this is one of those things where, from my stance, the body cam footage paints an entirely different photo or picture of what was put out there in the mainstream media about what was going on after the fact in the state of Florida. Because if you've been in trucking for any amount of time out there, that driver, the body cam footage that was released, in my opinion, am I going to say he spoke perfect English? No. But I know some people who were born here that don't speak perfect English either. So I think it's a very subjective thing, and it's going to be overly politicized at the end of the day, you guys. And it's one of those situations that I want a lot of us to use our brains here on how a lot of this is going to be rolled out, because the ELP thing, I feel like, is going to be more of a political talking point than anything. It's unfortunate. And again, talk is cheap, as I said on Tuesday. But my guest showed up. We're going to pull him up here and see here. And here we go. Mark?
Chris.
Nah, man. You're live right now, brother.
Dude, I'm sorry. It's like you can't plan and then have the plan come to fruition, right? It just doesn't work that way in our business. Yeah. And like a heated conversation. It was a great conversation with the prospect on. And you didn't want to cut him off, right? Because it was like,
yeah.
What we were talking about was just, we were talking philosophy and we were talking history. And I'm like, man, this is all kind of cool stuff that I could talk with Chris about, So it's like, I just want to.
But Mark, from my perspective, man, like this is like the entire premise of the show, man. I only speak to people who have like actual jobs, who are out there doing real things in the industry. There's no theory. And, on Tuesday, I mean, we're not going to talk about this, but just to kind of like when you were in there and you were probably hearing me talking about what I was, I'm just talking about the importance of like, man, we got to wait a few days before we go out there and put our opinions out there on certain things. And especially from my perspective, as I'm running my podcast, like, I don't want to be the first one to comment on a lot of this stuff. I want a lot of the facts to come out, because, like, to your point, like, I take this very seriously, and I think it's very important to call balls and strikes as things kind of come out about a lot of these hot button issues that we see. And people are always going to jump one way or another, but that's not the truth, right? And I want a lot of that to come out. And there's some things that have came out there where, if you've been in trucking any amount of time, with some of that body cam footage that was released out there, that's a very standard. I thought he would have passed it in if I was the one administering in that moment as well. But let's talk about what we were going to talk about here, man, and really jump in. So, Mark, it's been a while since you've been on the show, and so, dude, what's going on in your world out there at MileMaker?
Yeah, man. Well, first off, I appreciate you having me back on, and it's always great to catch up with you. I mean, I feel like every time we talk, it's lively conversations. It's topics that I think people are interested and want to hear, right, and hold a lot of value. But a lot of good stuff, man. We're moving, we're shaking, we're treating a 150-year-old company like a startup. We're trying to figure out ways to knock Goliaths off mountains and build partner ecosystems and improve the world of routing and mapping and mileage, man. It's one step at a time, right? One customer at a time, one partner at a time.
So, dude, how has that been going, right? Because I feel like it, especially now in today's day and age with everything, it's like the advancements in technology and routing guide and everything. And then really, it's, to me, it's always going to be about how do we uncover the most profitability out there for your business. And, if we're looking at a lot of what you guys are building and kind of like a lot of like where the technology is at in the industry right now, Mark, I feel like these efficiencies are going to continue to run to the forefront. So it's like, how are you guys, are you guys out there constantly monitoring? Like, how are you guys improving your product to kind of like keep up with the times and really just advance past that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a game of pennies, right? And I think that companies now, especially in the way that the market is, they're looking at every vendor that they're utilizing and they're saying, okay, I'm getting this service out of them now, right? Can I get this, this, and this, and this? And if I can't, and I have to go find another vendor to do it, can that vendor ultimately replace what this vendor is doing, right? People don't want 15 different companies to supply them with kind of one overall use case. And that plays right into like, how are we going to take the mileage and routing piece of the supply chain and then continue to build on it to offer current customers and new prospects things that add value to that part of the supply chain. And it's been really cool. And part of what I mentioned before about building this entire partner ecosystem has been, it's been a big goal of mine over call it like the last 6 months. And we've done a tremendous job. We've got, 15, 20 new partners that we've signed up. But it plays right into that, right? Like we want to continually build on our product and implement new features and new value sets and new use cases. But we're also not going to reinvent the wheel, right? But if I can find somebody that has complementary services to me that within, my current QBR conversations with my customer, they raise their hand and say, hey, we use you for the procurement part, right? Like we get miles and routing and then figures out like, how do we put an RFP out, which then we get rates back. But we want some more data, right? We want to understand what type of, lane history and truck density and historical pricing data feeds into this. Well, I'm not going to go build that. Right. And I'm like, oh, what I've done is I've created this partnership with this company here, and let's bring them into the call and then really kind of pitch that ecosystem mentality that, if I don't have it, at least I've got another partner solution or another solution, a complementary solution built in to solve that need. So that customer doesn't then go out and find somebody else who can do what I do. Right.
Yeah. So like, why is it important, do you think, or is this something? Because like I look at it as one thing that probably irritates me then, like, and I'm sure this irritates a lot of people as well, is when everybody's miles seem to be different at the end of the day. Is this one of those things where there should just be a standardized routing tool across the board? Like there should never be a 80-mile gap on the exact same lane on competing softwares and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%, man. I think it all goes back to truck attributes, right? And we've been doing this for, hundreds of years. But if you think about our competition, right, they've got 37 different versions of their platform, of their mileage technology out in the market right now. And think about a carrier that has two shippers that use two different versions of that mileage technology. That's two different versions that they then have to go buy, right? And the miles are going to be different. One thing that exactly to your point, that we've been striving to do is consistent map updates to one version. So we have Guide 20 out there now. Our API has both Guide 19 and Guide 20 in it. 19 was our older version, but in case people are still on that, it's still utilized in one platform, one API. But we're not going to release 30 or 40 different versions every time we do a map update. New roads are being built all the time. New construction happens all the time. These relationships that we've cultivated with all these different DOTs, we're getting that information faster, more reliable than our competition, and we're updating our map. We have an entire GIS team that their job is to take that information from the DOTs, aggregate it, process it, and build it into our map. So you're right, it shouldn't ever be different. But unfortunately, I think people buy a version, they implement it, and then they forget about it, right? And then this, and I know this because we live in this world that these roads change constantly and routes change constantly and new construction happens all the time. And if you haven't done a map update in 10 years, your miles are going to be 80 miles different than what the driver actually goes, and he's going to want that extra money. But, yeah.
No, absolutely, man. So can you explain to people out there, like, what is, we got practical miles, shortest route possible miles, stuff like that. Can you kind of break that down to give people a better understanding out there about why those are the way that they are?
Yeah. So you have to think about multiple different routes, right? And then detours, and then we built in like alerts for weather and traffic, but are three different types of routing. Practical is mainly used for rating, right? And that's going to be your most practical route from point A to point B. We have routes that are quickest, which are optimized for time. So this whole thing is built on miles and payable miles. But if as we all know, delivery time and ETA is a big hot button, right? If, for instance, if it's a hot load, there might be a faster way to get there that might add 2 or 3 miles or 5 miles to the lane itself that aren't necessarily going to be payable, but it might knock off 45 minutes to an hour, which if we pull in hours of service, we start to calculate drive time, that might mean the difference of them making that 5 o'clock appointment or having to wait until the next morning at 8 a.m. So you have to have those two different variables in there. And I think it's always important that as long as you have those options in there when you're doing evaluations, that you look at both, right? And say, okay, what's the most important in this lane? Is it, I want to make sure that the miles are the shortest, so that way I'm only paying a specific amount, or my driver's only running a specific amount, or do I want to make sure that I can get there as fast as I possibly can to meet a delivery time?
So how does this impact negotiations, do you think, when brokers and carriers are going to shippers about stuff, right? Because I remember this a lot in that where the shippers are saying it's 500 miles, but everything we're seeing is it's fucking 610 and stuff like that, or even 530. And then, and especially when you're out there, a lot of RFPs that are, you bid everything line haul, right? And everything, and fuel prices are adjusted based on the national average out there and stuff like that. So how does this impact negotiations, do you think?
Yeah, think about 30303 Atlanta, right? And then to LA, those zip code points, 90210 or whatever, could have 15 miles of variance based on where the actual address is inside that zip code. You know what I mean? Then on top of that, unfortunately, there's still a lot of shippers that are routing off of Google Miles, that are just going into Google and typing the route and getting a generic mileage input, which my job is to educate them that that's not necessarily the correct way to do it, and that we have built platforms and systems in order to show you how trucks can move. But if they're going to downtown Atlanta, there's bridges that they can't go under, there's roads that they can't go on based on weight restrictions, right? There's different things that prevent them from going to specific routes that a car can go to. So a shipper might run that route from Atlanta to California and be 100 miles difference in what a truck can actually move, because the truck has to go specific roads. And, I think a lot of people, it's such a weird generation that we're in right now, that the older generation is getting out, right? They're retiring. People that know about us, know about Rand McNally, have been using us for a lot of years, MileMaker. And then we have this younger generation that's moving up and into it, and this kind of millennial and South millennial, that their entire life has been, Apple Maps, Google Maps on my phone. Right? Yeah. And they get into that role and they've got to build this entire RFP, and they're like, oh, I need a route from, Portland to Bakersfield. Let me just pop that in. Oh, okay. Whatever, 602 miles, bam, put it in my RFP, versus, taking the proper steps and realizing that a step deck can't go that way, and a double trailer can't go that way, and an overweight and overdimensional can't go that way.
Dude, it's, and I'll have a thought, with us, obviously we do 99% open deck, heavy haul, over dimensional freight and stuff inside of my operations. And, earlier this year, we had a project, we moved a bunch of freight out of Yosemite National Park. And I'm not in the literal heart of Yosemite National Park. And dude, we spent, and I rip on the state of California a lot, and I'm going to do it again here, man. It's like pulling teeth to get any real information out of them. Mm-hmm. And, trying to find the right route guide to go in there, because it's just wild to me how ass backwards a lot of this stuff is compared to what we actually need to move freight in and out of there. And dude, we spent probably, I'm not even afraid to admit it, man. We've spent probably 3 hours researching state routes in there to find out hey, can we even pull this shit out of this place, right? And you're bringing up those good points about some of these bridges aren't going to be, they're going to be too low. There's route surveys and stuff that come along with it. And that's one thing. And you guys might be doing this already, I don't know, but it's dude, it'd be so sick for there to be an integration with every single state where you can just put the dimensions of a truck in there through MileMaker, and then have it show here's your actual truck route. We've already done all the work. We've geo-fenced all of this stuff. If you're 13 wide, you cannot take this. You can only take this route. And then you just go in, and then it auto gives you the ability to go in and order a police escort and stuff like that. Dude, that's what I'm excited. You guys might be building that. You don't have to say anything, but when you were talking about that, that Yosemite project came to mind, because dude, we spent a lot of time doing this. And then we had carriers who they fell off the freight because they're hey man, after we looked it over, we just don't feel comfortable, because dude, driving in the mountains is no joke, right? It's driving on a major freeway through the state of Colorado in the mountains is no joke, let alone switchbacks going up into a national park and stuff like that. And so it's like, dude, there's these little things like that I feel like that's where I want to see the practical miles and this stuff really start to improve. So it's like, how do you guys take a lot of that into consideration for ensuring compliance with DOT and regulations and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, we spent a lot of time over the last 5 or 6 years building out a map, right? A digital map. So one cool part about our solution versus kind of the main competition that's out there, whenever somebody buys whatever version of MileMaker that they want, it includes everything. So it includes our API, it includes our Excel add-in for easy RFP responses, but it also includes our map. And the map is one of the most important things out there. A lot of people don't utilize it as much as they should, but it's that same type of thing, right? I can see truck restrictions. I can zoom in on every single road, see the signs that are posted, that you wouldn't be able to see on just plugging it into Google, right? We're also working to partner with a company right now, which I don't know if I can say, but anyways, they're a fleet maintenance company, amazing company, amazing technology.
Good.
To bring in maintenance cost on the route as well, right? The Colorado Rockies, the difference between driving from Kansas City to Denver straight across I-70, right? Versus going from Denver to Salt Lake when you're going across the mountains. I mean, that adds 3, 6, 9 cents per mile just in maintenance cost, right? Little things like that people don't think about, but we have built into this map, right? That's, your API is just going to send you miles and it's going to send you routing information. It's on the background. A lot of people don't think about it, but when we talked about earlier about this industry being in pennies right now and people needing to take a microscope and really look at their operation and say, where am I leaking, right? Where am I leaking these dollars out at, right? It's take the time, pull the route up on the map, right? See where you need to go.
And to me, Mark, like that is the most exciting part about like where technology is going to come in. And, obviously it's AI everything right now, but I feel like AI is going to make that super quick and you're going to be able to go out there and help plan the best route, right? Like, and it's not just I look at it and I know that there's people out there who are probably smarter than me that are already building stuff like this, Mark, but I look at it like from a predictive analytics standpoint. I can't wait till we get to the point where there's software that like judges shippers based on how long wait time is, load time, offload time at receivers, stuff like that. And then like there's a pricing tool that comes in that shows like, this load pays $2 a mile, but you have an 80% likelihood of sitting there for 6 hours to get loaded. And then this shipper just down the street is like $1.90 a mile. This is all hypothetical. I'm not advocating for cheap freight. But this one is $1.90 a mile, but the average load time is 30 minutes and the average offload time is 30 minutes, which give you a higher success of getting to that next shipment out there. So it's like, I look at things like this, man, and that's what excites me the most. And if there's somebody out there who hasn't thought of that idea and you know how to utilize technology, there's a free business idea for you. But it to me, it's like, that's where I look at it is like the fundamentals in business, because like, dude, the more and more I get deeper into entrepreneurship and going out there and trying to sell my services, like ultimately, what are the biggest separators? Like at the end of the day, we're all offering the exact same service. I don't care what anybody says. We're all offering the exact same service out there, but it's like how you are operating your business in the back end, like you're talking about here, and being able to shave pennies and save pennies out there, dude. That is what I think is like where things are already at. But they're only going to get more and more competitive as things in technology improves.
Yeah, I think the biggest call out to that is that when you think about future state, whatever you're going to build needs to come from the voice of your current customers, right? You like all of these companies that are like, man, AI is such a hot button right now. I'm going to go build these, crazy optimization algorithms that are going to show this data and this data and this data. Yeah, it might be cool looking, but does it really benefit the people that are paying you money right now? What we have done, which I love, our development team and our engineering team, is we built mechanisms in place to say, okay, 15 customers that we work with, 5,000 customers that we work with, here's our list of the top 12 priorities that we think could add value to this product, right? Raise your hand if it's going to help your business. If nobody raises their hand, kick it off the roadmap, right? It doesn't matter that it might have AI next to it. If nobody's raising their hand and saying, this is going to help my business do better, then we're not going to build it, right? We're not going to move down that path. We're actually listening to the people that pay us money, building what they want, improving our product based on their unique workflows and their use cases. I think that's what's going to separate us in the long term from the competition that exists right now, is that we're not just going to hop on a fad because we need to, is that we're going to be strategic about what we build and build, use cases and feature functions that help our current clients and help us close new prospects.
Yeah, dude, and that's the thing, man, is I feel like the deeper you guys get out there, the more ideas that are going to come about that are going to, make this product. I mean, dude, it's just, we've used a mileage software throughout the entirety of my career. And I think of it as like with the way that things are trending out there, there's a lot of, and I don't want to say any of this stuff on the show just in case nobody's, your competition might be hearing this, because I'll tell you this after we get off. But like I look at where things are, and just even through like you're talking about how it includes your API and everything out there, like being able to integrate this software into your entire operating system as a whole. And brokers need to be thinking of this just as much as carriers. Like this isn't just a thing where you got to own trucks to be utilizing out there. And so it's like, I mean, what are some of those biggest differences that you guys have today compared to everybody else out there who's competing with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one, it's the integration flexibility. We built a tremendous API that we can plug into any operating system at all, right? I think it's important to know that you don't have to change your workflow in order to get the most accurate and up-to-date information. So brokerages, right? Previous world, this wasn't necessarily any type of benefit for brokers, right? Most of the time it was all in pricing, and they responded to RFPs. They didn't need mileage calculation. They just went off, but they're like, whatever, it's close enough, within 50 miles, right? Okay, insert now the map that we keep talking about. Dude, we've got weather, we've got road conditions, we've got live traffic, we've got truck restrictions, we got tolls, we got maintenance costs, right? All of these things play into the cost of the shipment itself. Think about RFP responses for 1,000 lanes that just the shipper populates in miles. You just go in there and plug it into DAT and say, it should be this, and throw it back in there, right? Well, then all of a sudden, one of these lanes is through downtown Dallas, where they've just implemented a lot of these crazy toll networks. And then the bill comes back and it's $400 higher, which is over your margin because you only planned $300 on it, right? You didn't factor in toll costs. Certain stuff like that, right? Like, plus being able to have a little bit of a competitive advantage, going back to your shipper and saying, hey, I'm different because I'm looking at this, right? I'm not just responding with this. I'm telling you that, wind speeds from, like I said, I-70 Kansas to Colorado are up 100 miles an hour on average at this time. Most of the time we shouldn't be hauling light freight. Or if we are, maybe you want to think about parceling it and combining it with some other stuff so this truck doesn't blow over, right? Or moving reefers, right? All across the different temperature areas, and just unique things like that. But we're like, all LSPs, carriers, brokers, and 3PLs need to find value in our product, right? So that goes back to what we're building and why we're changing, while we're implementing new features, is we want everybody to be able to find value in the necessary evil, which is mileage calculation. It's a part of it. We all have to use it, especially in this side of the business. But if you can get additional value out of a program that you have to use, why not, right? Why not, find cool features and drive additional savings on something that has to be implemented inside your business?
I mean, dude, to me, it's like whoever would have thought maps could be this complex at the end of the day. And, because you think of it like, oh, it's just point A to point B. It's like, yeah, in a perfect world, man. But like, I operate in the real world, and real shit happens way more often than I think a lot of people want to admit out there, man. And, I just look at it, and especially with you guys having that open API available out there, like integrations into TMSs and their operating systems. And I'm assuming it might even go as far as an ELD integration, or like a Garmin or something like that inside the cab of the driver's truck, where it's like, man, this is one of those tools that it can reach all facets of your operation out there. And it's one of those tools that everybody needs to be looking into at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, think about like dynamic ETAs, right? As a broker, right, your customer's constantly berating you on where's my truck at. Then you pick up the phone and you call the driver, where you at? You hang up, you call the shipper back, hey, here's where he's at, right? Imagine having a mileage engine that has the commercial route connected to an ELD of that driver through partners like Katina or these other integration platforms out there, or direct integrations into the ELD that says, hey, I'm pinging this ELD every 15 minutes, every hour, whatever the case may be. Once I get that GPS coordinate back, I'm recalculating the commercial route to delivery with an exact ETA, right? So it's not just a random, oh, he's passing through Omaha right now, he should be there by 5 o'clock. I know exactly where this truck is, and I know based on the commercial route exactly with traffic, with the roads that he has to take, what the ETA is to your spot. And then we do it again in an hour, and then we do it again in another hour, right? I mean, this is stuff that people don't think about that we have the capability to do.
Dude, again, you're like, it's those little separators like that, man. Your ability to communicate as a freight broker is the only real value that you should be focused on in adding into your operation. It truly is, because like at the end of the day, I say this all the time, picking up on time and delivering on time, you guys, like, is your job. That's not really like a value add per se out there. And you got to look at like, what are those little things that you can do to separate yourself? But Mark, I appreciate your time, man. I know we had a little thing at the beginning here, but dude, how does anybody reach out to you guys to find out more about what you got going on at MileMaker?
Yeah, man. Lukenbill at MileMaker.com. Go to the website, MileMaker.com. Check out our partners page. If anybody's, interested in, expanding their partner ecosystem, we're on that journey right now. If you're thinking about mileage just as a nice to have, like maybe it's worth a phone conversation to see all the different feature functions that we offer with our solution. Plus, we're not that expensive. If we think relevant to our competition that exists, if you're using our competition right now, maybe a vendor switch could save you 30 or 40% on your annual bill.
Yeah.
That looks to look, right?
I love it, Mark. Mark, thank you so much. If you guys can't find Mark or MileMaker out there, hit me up. I will gladly put you guys in contact with him. But that's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling really ambitious after this one, rank the show on iTunes and Spotify, because if you saw value, your network's going to see value as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to